Hey everyone, Sly47 here. Got a brand new video for you on trying to fix something, but first, as you can tell, first video of the new update. It's looking slick and sexy, kind of, a little small, has some issues, a little rough around the edges. I'm gonna leave the rest of my comments for another video once we give this a little bit more time to gestate and figure out. So it'll be interesting over time, but I think I see where they're coming with. I kind of like it, but they definitely need to kind of fix some things up. But let's get back to the video before I keep on ranting and making this video longer than it actually needs to be, because boy, this could be a long one. So y'all remember that tier 10 cruiser review video that I did? You remember that maybe I forgot to tell you how to set your ship up in the review? Because I just did. Oh, I totally, dropped the ball on that one. I am total grade A professional at this one. So I'm going to remedy it. I'm going to show you guys I'm going to show everyone how to build their tier 10 cruisers, and also the ones that I don't even have. I kind of give you at least some guidance on that, exactly how I'd go for. Of course, we're going to start in alpha order, just as always. So the Nevsky, I have gotten a few games into this. I'm still trying to learn it. I was kind of waiting for them to fix that bug on it, and they even buffed it just recently. So I think it's in a very solid state right now. But let's first go over armory. What do we got? The elite bonus. I don't have this thing done because I need those blueprints, but don't ask about the blueprint video yet, please. Still working on that. Main battery firing range, pretty much that's going to be everything you choose on a Russian cruiser. You just want longer range. That's one of the best options to choose on any ship, so just use that. Equipment. This is your standard cruiser loadout. You're going to do traverse speed on your guns, propulsion, and traverse speed on your ship. Occasionally you might alter that, but that basically will generally get all of your cruisers in a good position no matter what. So if you're kind of still trying to figure it out, have a little extra cred that you can just throw onto something, yeah, this will get you into a good state. The cruiser will do better no matter what. It's just maybe it won't be the most optimal. On the Nevsky though, I think I'm debating on switching over to steering gear mod 1 on the second slot, because I feel like it doesn't need acceleration because you're typically playing this at range. You're just pelting people with AP and HE at range. So this might make more sense. I'm still hoping that they kind of buff the ship just a little bit on the traverse angles and the maneuverability of the entire ship, because I think it does need it a little bit. Next, supplies. On this one, I would just run, and this is once again kind of a standard loadout. This is what obviously these two are what I typically put on a ship immediately the moment I get it. Kind of just, this is good and such until I play it and figure it out better. Improved crew rations, preventative maintenance, and refined diesel to kind of give it, obviously, more firepower, more health, and a little bit better speed and traverse. There's a few ships you will pop in high-grade coal or extra AA, of course, when you're playing non-carrier ships, because you won't use these ones. So, but yeah, you'll do those respectively, and of course, consumables, use as you wish, whatever you feel like doing. Next thing, Des Monies. So we ran into our first legendary equipment, and this one I wouldn't say is needed, but it definitely helps. So Des Moines already has a lot of fire rate, if I can talk today, and such. So you can take some fire rate away while fixing your range, which I find is an incredibly useful thing for the Des Moines. So I would highly suggest that if you have that. Else, I'd go for turret traverse. Keep those guns on target and firing at all times. That's the main thing with Des Moines. Its whole idea is about burst DPM, so you want to make sure those guns are on point, on target, when you need them. Pure, plain simple. I wouldn't go main battery modification 2 because you tend to lose turrets anyways, because you are a bit of a brawling cruiser, so don't risk it. And typically you're not firing at even at max range, your shells are basically coming down vertically, so I wouldn't worry about dispersion too much. You're more about volume of fire anyways. Supplies, changed out refined diesel for AA in order to kind of fix up my lack of AA equipment here. So kind of buff that, but else preventative, improved crew rations, get more rounds out on range. And of course, armory. I did fire and flooding with the damage control center, internal barhead. Kind of a waste. I think they should update that. And talking about mistakes, guess what I did on the Buffalo? Yeah, I just don't want to waste gold on changing that. So yeah, don't do what I did. Do the fire and do the resistance. In my opinion, it's better. Let me know if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. Maybe the Des Moines wrong. Who knows? So we're going on the equipment. This is going to be your standard cruiser because it's really all about once again volume of fire. So dispersion, it kind of helps. It's okay. You could potentially go with reload speed to kind of help it out, but in reality, I don't think it needs it. I don't know. I wouldn't suggest it because you already do take a good amount of damage, and I have lost plenty of turrets, so I don't know if I'd want to lose any more. So, and then of course with these two, pretty much it's going to be the same. There's really nothing else you could take. You maybe instead of traverse, if you feel like traverse is fine, you could go AA to kind of help bump that in order to take down more planes if you hate carriers, which isn't a bad idea. Talking about hating carriers, Worcester. This is the meme build, if anyone's wondering. Obviously, there's actually ways to take this even further, and I just chose not to, but you can take this further. Okay, so of course, AA. In my opinion, the guns are not good enough. Some people are going to be mad on that comment. Like, you could bump them with the reload speed, but I'd rather have more range. You could make them traverse speed faster. They already are fast at traverse, and they already are so inaccurate, you'd rather get volume of fire out so dispersion doesn't matter and such, let alone if you are better shot with those suborbital arcs, learning how to shoot it better will do better. Like, you will not need dispersion. So next thing, of course, you really can't do anything other than really AA, just increasing that. Maybe you could go for traverse so you can dodge stuff more, but screw carriers. And then of course this one, you could technically go traverse speed, but come on, let's kill carriers. Let's kill those planes. And then of course you go with AA. You refine diesel. I choose hit points so I can be a little tankier because it already is a tanky ship, and then I kind of fix up the guns here to kind of make them shoot a little bit faster. And of course with armory, I went with the elite gun operator. You obviously once again take the AA to the extreme. If you really hate those carriers, you can go AA specialization. So it's already an insane AA boat. I don't think it needs anything more. You can rip through even the best carrier players pretty well. Zhao. Let's kind of do this because Zhao's kind of an interesting one. I wouldn't say advanced engine, but I would definitely go elite gun operator. Keep those guns on target and firing at all times when you need to fire. And secondly, and on this, it already has 12 guns, already hits plenty. I really don't think it needs dispersion. And obviously the torpedo mods don't do enough to spit at. So main battery modification 1, keep those guns on target when you need them. And this one, we do have another legendary module. It's kind of, it would be a nice thing to have. It would be, but it's not necessarily needed. So I went with traverse. I wouldn't go with propulsion because you need the third slot for concealment, because you need to make sure this thing stays off radar and off map so you can stealth torp further, because you already basically, even with just this setup and even not even the crappy camo, I've got about 1 kilometer of stealth torp range, which is perfect amount to just send those torpedoes off, and they're super fast to just wall up a good battleship and send them back to port with how much firepower you have before a carrier spots you, and then subsequently everyone shoots at you and kills you. Such is the way of the Zhao. It's great. It's great. But yeah, that's the Zhao, pretty easy. And of course you're going to run Cull, Traverse. I do AA. You could technically go with either of these to kind of do that, but I find that occasionally I wouldn't mind taking down a few planes with me, make them a little better, but I totally respect the other choices. Yoshino just got a buff. This is where it kind of gets a little insane. Previously, I felt like there was 2 builds. You actually could play this as a standard battle cruiser and such, but now it is definitely, in my opinion, strictly a stealth cruiser ambush ship. So this is a very situational, positional ship. I know a lot of you just bought this potentially. So little tips and tricks. Once again, elite gun operator, torpedo defense system. That is not going to save your life to depend on it, let alone you either should be surprising the DD with your sonar and hitting them with your own torps or your own guns, or you should be not near them. So, elite gun operator. Next thing, stealth, traverse because you're a big, massive ship. And then I find dispersion. I find the guns are actually turned pretty well, though I wouldn't disagree with you if you went turret traverse. So kind of understand that. This one, you want to go high grade cold. You want to keep off that surface protection. Give yourself a good bit more range on those stealth torps so you can get those torps out before you start firing. Because if you can start a flood and then you can just start the fires with the guns, boy, fixes the Goliath problem. So right here, refined diesel, improved crew rations, all good. And yeah, that's the Yoshi. If you're interested in that, that's the new. I would say that's the more meta build. You obviously can go more just kind of your standard cruiser route, but I'd even go double traverse to kind of allow you to bob and weave, because it is still quite a very narrow ship. So you can, I'd even still go dispersion if you just want to play this like a typical battle cruiser. Double traverse speed, get that thing just bob and weaving, going back and forth, and you don't really need that turret traverse at that point in order to fix that. I think it does just fine. Minnow, kind of an interesting build. I kind of want to see what everyone else runs, because I do find this is quite a you can build it slightly different depending on your aspect of what you want to fix. So let's go over this. I chose cruiser modernization. I want the little bit extra AA damage, and 7% traverse speed is perfectly fine on the main battery. The 2% health is kind of whatever. I find its guns already turned perfectly fine, so I'd rather buff 2 elements than one that doesn't really need it in the first place. Lastly, I buffed AA because, once again, guns, because of their square pattern, you don't really want to lower that dispersion as much as you'd think. I'd rather have them, since also it's a lot of volume of fire, so I'd rather have a little bit more, hey, I'm a smoke cloud that kills planes. So, and once again, the turrets traverse just fine. You could arguably go for the reload chance, because of course you're not getting hit much. You don't have to worry about the main battery survival. So that's good. This is one of those that I would highly suggest if you love the Minnow. This is probably one of the very few that is damn near required for this ship. This helps so much because your steering and power systems hardly ever go down in the first place, because you're not going to, you're trying not to get hit in the Minnow. You're already incredibly maneuverable already, so you're dodging torps left and right, and with that Euro beating that crap out of that stuff. So in my opinion, of course, if you're a free-to-play player, I would definitely, you can choose which one you want more, of whether or not you want more acceleration or more traverse, because I still believe that this one needs to be concealment. But if you want to have a crazy mobile ship, you could go double traverse. This is a very make your own ship of how you want to play it. But I would definitely say, kind of enjoy figuring it out what you want on the Minnow. Do you want the guns to traverse faster? Do you want the ship to traverse faster? Do you want a little get up and go to make it go faster, backwards, forwards, left, right? Then I would just go like almost the standard route and probably still even fix up the AA or fix up the guns. So it's a fun little make your own high grade coal, AA because fun, and then of course refined diesel to kind of turn the ship faster, left and right. Hindenburg, let's speed this up a little bit, because don't ask me about the Hindenburg. This is the basic loadout, because I'm not a big fan of this. Go talk to Death from Above or other people. Main battery traverse speed to keep the guns on target, and then of course main battery again, propulsion and turning. Or traverse. I don't really like the Hindenburg. It just doesn't work for me all the time. I finally did hit 100,000 damage in one game, but it's just not my favorite. Moskva, actually, so Moskva Stalingrad, basically the same ships, though with Moskva you do have a lot more AA, so you can kind of run the AA thing on there, so you can kind of shoot down some more planes. But once again, all Russian ships run firing range. It's so great. Those two very simple ships to play, shoot at range, hit targets because they're so laser accurate. Some people I've seen run dispersion, which is kind of just laughable because they're already insanely accurate. Even with the Moskva being nerfed a while back, it's still a laser. It's just not as fast of a laser, but it still hits hard, hits plenty. So Henry, this actually you kind of make it your own. I preferred speed, so of course in the final one I actually added max speed. Traverse because it really needs it, even though it's arguably, if you don't go speed, go double traverse on the rudder, because it is a very slow turning ship. And then of course I prefer the guns because it is typically more of an ambush ship, not necessarily something you're going to be focusing on shooting max range, except HE, which then anything within 10 kilometers you switch over to AP, or of course it's the DD, you shoot HE, but everyone understands that. So you could argue dispersion if you want to use this more of an HE thrower, but I switch between HE and AP all the time, so I'd rather have my guns on target to, just shoot stuff. And then of course standard supplies, because its AA is pitiful and it's high grade coal, you're shooting your guns all the time, doesn't matter. Armory, of course I went speed because why not? 44.7 knots or something like that is my max with the boost. Catch up to some Chimas. Venezia, kind of a bland ship. I really don't feel like you can play with this much. Because you can't go really concealment on this ship, and you really need to have it kind of just turn a little bit better because of it is a DD hunter, so you want to be able to dodge those. So I would definitely say you could argue two steering gears, but I went propulsion because I like to kind of get up and go and juke DDs a little bit better. And of course you want to keep those guns on target, get those suckers hitting. It's already a shotgun. You already have precise aim. You don't really need that. And then, of course, so the turrets just get taken out. Don't do that. Don't do that. And then advanced turret, because elite torpedo operator for this entire line is a joke. So, yeah, we got two more that I do not have, but we're gonna kind of go over for those who have them and who have sadistically went after this, or be sadist, but whatever, who have gone up these lines and have beaten their heads against the keyboards or their phones enough that they finally got to it. So the Pietro, now with 360 degrees, it's a turret traverse, pure plain simple. And then I'd say double traverse, because this ship is massive, it's long, you need to be able to dodge as many torps as possible, and then also you need to be able to run away as quick as possible from those DDs and get those guns right back on target on the other side so that turret traverse can work for you. That's how I would do it, and that's how I'd run. I think this is definitely a solid place, but the grind is so horrible. Let's go over to the other grind that's horrible, the Goliath. Yay! This is your standard cruiser. I don't think there's any other reason. If you have any other builds, let me know. Let the community know on how you survived this grind. But I would just go turret traverse, propulsion, and steering. Just traverse speeds on everything. Get those guns on there, because you're going to catch every single shell in this ship that you can, because it's a cruiser that has just enough armor to get killed. And that's about it, because you can't stay alive long enough to use its additional repair kit. So other than that, yeah, I am working on, well, that's really it. Let me wrap up this video first. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. Big things are coming. I'm working on them right now. I am trying to get a Kutuzov video out for the person who requested it. It's coming. If my teams can help me just a little bit, and this update can kind of get fixed. So hopefully you understand that's coming out. Yeah, this update. Yeah. All right. Have a good one, everyone. Peace.